Dobro jutro and dobar dan. Tomorrow we're going to reveal the location and dates for Cosmoverse 2025. That much I can tell you. It is going to be the most inclusive and accessible Cosmoverse that we have ever done. So make sure to follow Cosmoverse HQ on Twitter to not miss out on that announcement. And in that context, I'm also very proud to announce that Rob Stack has joined Cosmoverse as the new marketing director. Rob was leading marketing at the Interchain Foundation prior to the acquisition and now joins Cosmoverse to lead marketing with us. And I think Rob is going to have a big impact this year to shape the narrative, to also drive and coordinate marketing efforts, not just within Cosmoverse, but also with all the teams and the general messaging for Cosmos this year. I've been knowing Rob for a very long time. He's a very high integrity person, a very dedicated, passionate cosmonaut, and I'm very, very proud that he chose to work with me and the team here at Cosmos. Again, subscribe to our newsletter to not miss out, to be notified also when early bird tickets will go live, because they will go live very, very soon, just literally in a couple of weeks. So you're going to make sure to be first when that is public. Anyways, now we have a lot to catch up on. It's been a while since the last video. The market's been shaky, been going down a lot, and people are just exiting, frustrated left and right. But you also have to look at what is happening behind the scenes. And what is happening behind the scenes is not only that US politics is aggressively promoting shilling and getting their stakes in crypto, with one of the rumors being that Trump is going to acquire a stake in Binance US, following also the announcement that Abu Dhabi has invested $2 billion into Binance, which is the single largest crypto investment in history. $2 billion with a B that was invested into Binance. And I could share a long list of things that happened in the past weeks, but then this video would be crazy long, and I want to stick to the core, which is that this YouTube channel is focused on the Cosmos ecosystem, the same philosophy that Cosmos as a technology stack has, which is all about sovereignty and interoperability. We at Cryptocito and the Cito Zone are specialized on Cosmos. We're app specific to Cosmos in that sense, but we're still interoperable with the rest of crypto. And looking into the price movements for the Cosmos ecosystem today, we can see Mantra up 4%, $6.63, which means the 50 million ohm airdrop is now worth more than 330 million US dollars. And the distribution is going to start 2 days from now. So in 2 days, we're going to get 10% of our own airdrop allocation distributed to our wallets. Also, Atom showing relative strength while Bitcoin went to $80,000 to $83,000. Altcoins also dumped, but not as crazy, and we're now seeing a little bit of recovery here and there, with Atom also being one of the largest gainers yesterday, bouncing back now at $4.65, which is still crazy low levels. Nothing to take victory laps for. TIA 361, Say at 20 cents, ASI 52 cents, DYDX 64 cents. So still crazy discounts here. And as always, we never know how long this sideways and chopping around is going on. But me personally, as a permabull and mid-curve content creator, dedicated and truly convinced of Cosmos and the AppChain thesis all around sovereignty and interoperability, I believe that sooner or later the market is going to shift and we're returning to fundamentals. We're going back to where all these bullish developments, the UX improvements, the liquidity improvements, all these onboarding rails, everything, right? The tech has massively improved over the past 3-4 years. Eventually, this is going to get priced in on the charts. And we're at a point in the market right now where no matter how bullish or positive news are coming out, it is not pricing in on the charts. It's not sticky, right? It just vanishes. It just goes away. It just doesn't even move the markets at all, right? Especially when it comes to fundamentals. But I believe that we are sooner or later returning to fundamentals, as we always do. And then Cosmos is going to be here to absorb a lot of that value, because Cosmos is one of the, if not the most innovative technologies in all of crypto. And you can see by the growth of the Interchain from multi-billion-dollar chains that are now in the top 20, top 30, like Mantra, Kronos, and even upcoming ones like Nilian, like Initia that is coming very soon, Babylon as well. I think Cosmos is going to do very well. And I also think that the Cosmos Hub and Atom is going to do really well, right? It's been a very, very volatile roller coaster over the past years, ever since I got into Cosmos around 4 years ago, and been really, really deep Cosmos since then. And there were many different directions, many iterations of the Cosmos Hub, what it is, what it does, what the roadmap would be. Different teams that were in charge, or at least core contributors. Now we have Interchain Labs, which is basically the operational arm of the Interchain Foundation that is at the steering wheel, not only for the Cosmos core tech stack, including the SDK, IBC, and other parts of the stack, but also the Cosmos Hub and Atom roadmap. And they have actually shared this article here, the vision for the Cosmos Hub, which basically outlines the hub as an interoperability powerhouse, with the launch of IBC Eureka going to play a major role in that. And IBC Eureka is scheduled to launch within the next 30 days, so very, very soon, maybe even faster than that. And it's going to enable interoperability with Ethereum and eventually also with Solana and other high volume networks out there. So this is going to be a core value proposition for the Cosmos Hub moving forward, which also puts it into the category of, the Axelars and the unions of the world, which I'm sure there's going to be competition there. I'm also sure there's going to be synergies there. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But the Cosmos Hub will offer this service to the Interchain as a true Interchain service provider, which is how I see the Cosmos Hub as well. And liquidity, security are other product verticals that the Cosmos Hub eventually is also going to expand on. Anyways, this blog post is outlining the value propositioning for the Cosmos Hub, and Mac, who is the co-CEO, also shared that the TLDR is the Cosmos Hub will be the trade center of crypto, and IBC Eureka makes this a reality by turning the hub into an interoperability router. Also, Ethan Buckman, co-founder of Cosmos, alongside Jay Kwan, saying Port City is back, LFG. And the term Port City is also mentioned in that blog post. So we're basically going back to the roots, back to square one, making the hub a true hub, an interoperability hub that also accrues value for Atom, which has always been the point of criticism for anyone and held everyone back to invest into Atom because it would not accrue value or grow with the adoption and rise of IBC. But that is now going to change. At least that's the roadmap. And I think that is very, very exciting. And at the Cito Zone Cosmos Media Hub, we also shared a recap, a TLDR of that whole blog post in 3 points. Number 1, IBC v2, a revamped version of IBC connecting to Ethereum first, soon Solana, L2s, and then pretty much everything else. IBC Eureka, the service layer on top of IBC v2, which scales by offering the hub as a router. Also simpler one-click asset routing to any chain. It's much cheaper, actually 6x cheaper than any other chain. It is built around native interoperability, much faster because Cosmos offers instant finality, no integration overhead. And lastly, the Cosmos Hub will be positioned as a coordination layer and router, as a port city, offering security and other services to the Interchain. And Eureka will be the first of many hub-powered coordination services. So that sounds very, very bullish, to be honest with you. And I also think that this, alongside coordinated BD, marketing, narrative, content efforts, is going to inaugurate a new era for the Cosmos Hub, Atom, and the Cosmos brand as a whole. Other teams are also taking note of that, and ICL Interchain Labs is actively working with those teams, such as DYDX, for example, PerpStack's powerhouse that migrated from Ethereum to Starknet to launch its own Cosmos L1, proving the AppChain thesis was right all along. And Chris, CMO at DYDX, that are also media partners at the Cito Zone, by the way, he shared that the more I learn about IBC Eureka, the more I am convinced that it's a paradigm shift for asset and user onboarding on Cosmos chains, which is very, very true. And I think seeing DYDX basically bullposting Cosmos is something that we could have only dreamed about 1 or 2 years ago, right? So that's very bullish. Then we also have another big launch that happened last week, USDN, the native stablecoin of Noble, which is a Cosmos app chain for real-world assets. Started off with stablecoins, so it's more focused on financial assets versus Mantra, for example, that is also heavily focused on the real estate market here in Dubai, for example. So we'll also have a lot of different flavors in the RWA sector. Noble is specialized on stablecoins, and they have now launched their own stablecoin in collaboration with M0. And this thing already has $31.7 million minted, right? And the way you can do this right now is you bring your USDC, you mint USDN with it, and then USDN is a yield-bearing treasury bills-backed stablecoin that you can then use to actually also farm points. We're going to show you that in a second. But Noble, one of the largest gainer also when it comes to chain inflows, 21 million. You can see the largest one has actually been Berachain, 51 million. We also have some news around that, which is very refreshing to see. Someone from my team at the Cito Zone actually made a tutorial on how you can do what I just described to mint your USDN, deposit them here, and earn Noble points, which also means that very, very likely there will be a Noble token, a native token. Noble has been on mainnet for a very long time, like a year and a half, maybe even longer than that. With Stakecito, we're one of the validators, but there's basically no incentive for it, right? There's no token, which means there's no rewards, there's no staking rewards, but a Noble token launch would fix the economics while also decentralizing the chain, because right now Noble is a proof of authority chain, a permission chain basically, and with the token launch and opening up also the validator set more, I think this will be a lot more decentralized. And what's also very good to see is that you can do that directly in Kepler wallet. So that's what I meant earlier also in the intro, is that the UX and the technology behind the scenes, right, has improved so much in recent months alone, but in the past 2 or 3 years, while the prices have gone down 80-90%. But if you look at things like this, right, where Kepler has integrated USDN and you can just start earning with a few clicks, no logups, real-time accrued rewards, simple and easy, all about simplicity, right? Kepler wallet doing big steps here as well. When it also comes to the mobile experience, when it also comes to the general UX experience for the Kepler wallet. I think there's been so much progress in the Cosmos ecosystem, and this is just one wallet, right? We also have Leap wallet, we have other wallets as well that have great UX that are also now in Steam competition as well. So I think Cosmos is going to do extremely well, and eventually this will also reflect on the charts, and things like that really matter, right? Those things really matter. But as Greg Ozuri, founder of Akash Network, also points out, the macroeconomic situation is horrible, the market's in a bad shape, Tesla is down 40%, everything is really bad. And Akash Network is also a textbook Cosmos app chain, full on sovereignty, but also interoperable with the rest of the ecosystem, proudly representing Cosmos since 4 years, or even 5 years since they're on mainnet. Akash, one of the OG chains, one of the largest positions in my portfolio, that is currently at around $1.30, $1.50. But I think this thing eventually is going to have a huge run and will be in the top 30, top 20 maybe even. In a similar fashion how Mantra went on a crazy run to the top 20, I believe that Akash Network is well positioned and primed to follow a similar trajectory basically. Anyways, that's just my personal views. Obviously AKT and every other coin can always go to zero just like that. This is crypto, extremely volatile and risky. Now if we zoom out a little bit, besides the technical roadmap, all this excitement and all these different sovereign Cosmos chains and the Cosmos Hub having a new vision, I think we're observing a vibe shift in Cosmos. Also because of Barry and Mac, right? Barry is the other CEO, so Mac and Barry are both co-CEOs, previously also both founders at Skip Protocol, which then got acquired, and are now in charge of Interchain Labs. And they're also just bull posting like crazy, which is very refreshing and has been overdue in Cosmos since many years. Barry's thing, Solana community fighting about inflation, which sounds very familiar if you're a cosmonaut. Then, you know, if you followed any of the Solana governance drama that happened over the recent weeks, where I think one of the co-founders from Multicoin proposed an inflation reduction, which ultimately failed, but also caused a lot of discussions and infighting within the Solana community, right? Which is all part of, you know, natural side effect, I would say, of a decentralized network and decentralized governance, right? And I think Cosmos stress tested this to the absolute extreme. But other chains eventually, if they want to have fully decentralized governance, inevitably will have a similar experience to go through, right? Because that's just how humans are. So that's Solana. On the other hand, Ethereum is also going through a lot right now when it comes to leadership, when it comes to incentives, a lot of discussions, questioning, a lot of filtering out, a lot of infighting as well. Underperformance in the ETH price, all these kind of things. On the other hand, in Cosmos, we went through all this like absolute crazy and on absolute steroids. So I think everyone in Cosmos that is still standing today, I think is already numb to this level of infighting and all those kind of things. And we're now probably past that moment. We moved on now and we are in our lane, and all the contributors and builders are shipping good DeFi products. We have a lot of new chains that are coming, many of which also now starting to proudly represent Cosmos, because the Cosmos vibes are actually improving a lot. And we now have new leadership in play that is ambitious, that is passionate, that is smart, that is well-respected, that is product-oriented, UX-oriented, and also engages and interacts with the communities. And it all basically comes down to this, which is that the new Cosmos roadmap is very simple. 3 points. Number 1, reduce cost and time to launch and operate your Cosmos Layer 1 blockchain. Number 2, make it easy to onboard users and capital. Kill Solana distribution. Number 3, turn the Cosmos Hub into a real hub. That is a very solid roadmap, and Interchain Labs is in the best spot to actually make that happen. It's been a massive change. We also did this announcement together with the new ICL leadership back in December with Mag, Nico, Barry was there as well. Ethan was there as well on this live stream that we did here on Cryptocito. But yeah, the Cosmos stack is in the best place it's been in years. probably the best place ever. And they're seeing unprecedented adoption. Obviously, they know a lot more, and I'm sure a lot of this stuff is also under NDA when it comes to new big multi-billion-dollar chains or products migrating or launching their own Cosmos L1. We already know that Ondo is launching their Cosmos chain. And my thesis, which also is the thesis of my fund, Cito Ventures, is that everything eventually will be Cosmosified as soon as we talk about sovereignty, interoperability, and IBC, connect to IBC, then you're basically Cosmos, right? That's how I see it, right? You don't have to be fully built on a Cosmos SDK, which is also why I personally consider Berachain and Movement part of Cosmos, because they are compatible through IBC via Union and eventually also with IBC Eureka. So yeah, that's that. Then also Barry saying, then also we have Babylon, which is the market leader for Bitcoin staking. They invented this term, Bitcoin staking, similar to how Celestia invented and coined this term modularity. And they just dominate that entire category. Babylon dominates Bitcoin staking as a category. In fact, I'm also going to schedule an interview with the founder of Babylon, David, very, very soon here on this channel. So if you have questions for David, please drop them under the comments. We'll pick that up in the interview with David. Now, another Cosmos app chain that is well-funded, has a strong team, has a strong product market fit, real user base, great UX UI, and is just innovative and has been around forever, is DYDX. Also media partners at the Cito Zone. And DYDX is one of the coins that I personally want to stack more of. They have just announced their new product roadmap, which is basically a short-term roadmap in the next 2 months. Number one being to improve indexer reliability to make sure everything is stable and performant. Number two, improve deposits and withdrawals down from 20 minutes to less than 1 minute. Also, new mobile interface, which is very, very important for traders these days. Then also web front-end improvements, faster front-end, new order types, feature parity, also very important. Improved transparency when it comes to their communications with more frequent reports sharing on a weekly and bi-weekly basis. And then on a medium-term plan, they are also mentioning IBC Eureka here, big time, right? You saw the CMO, Chris, posting about it. And IBC Eureka potentially is going to also unlock a lot of interesting use cases and improvements for DYDX, which is good to see. And also closer aligns DYDX with Cosmos, which I hope they eventually also will more proudly and openly represent Cosmos. The fact that we have this media partnership with the Cito Zone, the fact that they have been larger sponsors last year at Cosmoverse and the year before as well, the past 2 years, clearly shows that there is alignment. Also, they're sharing here that they have plenty of runway, $150 million at DYDX Labs and hundreds of millions more in the DAO. They have a 7+ year history and will continue to be here for the long term. Also remember that David Sachs, the crypto czar and AI czar of the US government, is actually an early investor into DYDX. And DYDX Labs is also based out of the US. They also have a new trading campaign going on, a trading rewards program basically, where you can earn rewards for trading. If you want to have 50% discount on your trading fees, then you can also use the VIP affiliate link down below. Then also something that is very interesting and not at all pricing in and reflecting on the charts is the fact that DYDX has implemented a buyback program. So they have implemented an on-chain buyback program with the sub-DAO, the Treasury sub-DAO, which currently accrues to, I think, $9 million a year. So in 2025, $9 million worth of DYDX would be bought back, which I think is very important to at least be aware of. But anyways, that's enough about DYDX. Now moving over to Osmosis or Bitmosis, because they're now heavily leaning into the Bitcoin narrative, and also Osmosis itself is accruing Bitcoin on a daily and monthly basis. They're acquiring BTC for their treasury. They're stacking sats while also trying to become the best place to trade these assets, referring to the ones that Barry shared in this new Bitcoin ecosystem that is now emerging and being established in Cosmos. Babylon taking the lead here with their 6 billion TVL that is now being unleashed in Cosmos. Also remember that Osmosis has a burn mechanism that is actually quite aggressively burning Osmo. 50% of Osmo tokens collected via the taker fees are burned forever, which already accrued to 2.5 million Osmo tokens so far. And the Osmo token also just got listed and made available to New York residents on Coinbase, which is also good and improves the liquidity rails and just overall visibility and credibility for Osmosis. And now, before we get to the main news for today, also some exciting news about Initia. They've announced that Ethena is going to deploy USDE on Initia, which is very, very exciting and very bullish. Initia is going to launch with multiple rollups from the get-go, including also Milky Way, liquid staking provider, where you can also earn points right now, also droplet points at the same time. I shared this in the previous video. That's one of the strategies I've deployed a couple of weeks ago to farm the droplet airdrop and also the Milky Way airdrop. I'm also invested with Cito Ventures into Milky Way. We also have another big announcement regarding Initia, which is the fact that Lazychain is going to deploy on Initia as well. So Lazychain is going to be a rollup. I guess there will be a token for it, and I guess that Celestine Sloth holders will get that token. So this is the Sloth chain. If you're lazy, if you love sleeping, then this chain is for you. I know I will be here and excited to see where Lazychain is going. Now, going over to Mantra, which is probably going to get a lot of controversy this week, but also, yeah, a lot of happy faces because this is just one of the biggest airdrops in Cosmos history, I guess. Mantra, $6.62, which means the 50 million ohms that will be distributed accrue to more than $330 million. And the chain is live. You can stake 5.76% APR. Let me know if you're eligible for the airdrop and what your game plan is, because you're going to get 10% of your allocation that you can check. There is an airdrop checker right now that was updated after the Sybil farmers have been filtered out, right? And there has been some controversy exactly around that, because a lot of people that were active on testnet and active on, I think, the Galaxy campaign or something like that, apparently are not eligible anymore. I'm not here to defend either way. I'm just a messenger of that information. There might be some instances where legit people were filtered out, maybe not. I think the Mantra team has done their best to make sure that those that were using bots and just trying to farm the airdrop are not going to get anything, but actually to only reward loyal Mantra community members, the OM community, and those that were actually eligible by the criteria. One of which was also now added to it, which is the fact that Omis will get an airdrop as well. And Omis is the official NFT collection for the Mantra community. With Cito Plus, we also got exclusive whitelist slots. So Cito Plus members are eating extremely well with that one, because not only did they get to mint an NFT that was, I think, like did a 60, 70, 80x, but also they're now potentially getting an airdrop for that in OM. So we'll see. We don't know exactly yet how they will play out, but what you ideally needed to do, which is also something we communicated with our Cito Plus community while I was away, is that you could stake your OMIs on DAO. So they have their own DAO now on DAO, where you can stake your OMI and also vote on governance proposals. One of which is also that came up yesterday, that OMIs would receive an airdrop. We don't know exactly yet how much it will be, but just to kind of make sure that this is happening. And I guess eventually that probably there will be a dedicated allocation, but then also the allocation, the forfeited allocations from Sybil and from bots will be redirected towards OMIs. At least that's what I am understanding right now. But yeah, let me know if you're eligible, what your plan is with the airdrop. I understand that people might be frustrated or just in pain because they missed out on the airdrop, right? But if you've been an avid Cito subscriber and viewer over the past years, not only did you know about Mantra a very, very long time ago, but also about ways to maximize your eligibility for that airdrop. I'm very happy with my allocation. I didn't get filtered out by Sybils. I don't know anyone who got filtered out like personally, so I'm not sure, but I saw some comments on Twitter. And yeah, that's that. Finally, quick news. Number one, Fairblock teasing an airdrop or whitelist or something for Sloth holders. Then Berachain posting Berapilled, kind of indicating that Polymarket might actually migrate or launch on Berachain as well. Then also Story Protocol now has emissions, which means you're getting staking rewards for your IP tokens. If you got the airdrop, then please consider staking with Stakecito. We're one of the validators on Story. The current staking APR is actually 10.3%, and you can also choose longer lockup periods, which would increase your staking APR. Finally, also a very surprising, in my view also, new round by Axelar. Axelar announced a $30 million round. And I think before that, they already had a decent runway, but now they have an even better runway. And also quality investors, VCs, I guess, that are Axelar line, which means great for Axelar. I'm an Axelar investor as well. I invested into Axelar in the, I think, Series A back in 2022 or late 2021. And obviously, I'm happy to see that. I also think this is going to drive more competition with the Cosmos Hub's new roadmap. We talked about it, the Port City Interoperability Hub, maybe even Union, right? That's also launching very, very soon and will potentially also have a big airdrop. So I think game on. Very exciting to see. And congrats to Sergey and Georgios, also from the Axelar team. Maybe it's time for another Axelar interview as well. Let me know if that's something you would want to see. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, big update regarding Cosmoverse location reveal and dates reveal. Again, this will be the most inclusive conference we've ever done. And Wednesday or Tuesday, we'll then see the Mantra airdrop distribution. That's all for today. I'll see you very soon. Until then, stay safe and be good.